Spoilers, they be about the place. Alright everyone, after 3 films, we are finally here. We have come to the 4th and final Friday the 13th film, with Friday the 13th, the final chapter. We're finally going to get to see how Jason ends up dushed to fuck for the final time. Wait a second, that doesn't sound right to me. Isn't there like way more films? Hold on, let me just do a quick check here. Aw, for fuck's sake, this isn't anywhere near the last one. These lads clickbaited us in the damn 80s with this final chapter bullshit. Well, I guess all we can really do now is sit back, relax, and horse our favourite snacks into ourselves while hitting the like button and the sub one as we find out what this fake final chapter has in store for us.
Jason's reign of terror is over. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Jason's unlucky day.
Our movie film begins with that damn montage recap of parts 1 through 3. Oh my fucking god, I can't believe we are doing this again. This is a total fucking joke now. 3 films in a row and they have a recap at the start of it. I just can't believe it. These films are so simple. Stop doing this. Anyway, our movie film actually begins with police and paramedics dealing with the aftermath of the carnage from part 3. But wait a second. Friday the 13th, part 3 took place the day after Friday part 2, making that film Saturday the 14th. And Chris survived until the morning of Sunday the 15th. So this Friday the 13th film is opening up on the night of Sunday the 15th. That means not only is the final chapter title a damn lie, but so is the Friday the 13th part. Oh lads, they're making us look like fools here. Jason's big dushed body is taken away in an ambulance and brought to the local hospital morgue for this doctor to examine. But this horny doctor has other things on his mind, as he wants to have a bit of sexy time with this nurse. But Jason's spot of riding senses activate, and he comes back from the dead. He even cops a feel while these two try to get it on. Aw, Jason, you big cockblock. The nurse fecks off to leave Dr. Axel to watch whatever the fuck this is. What the fuck is that? Which does distract him long enough to let Jason sneak up and make him #dushed. And then Jason goes and kills the nurse as well. Christ, they didn't even get to have a spot of riding. The next day we're introduced to Tommy Jarvis, who is a feckin' space alien. He's actually Corey Feldman, which is so much worse. Himself and his mother and his sister Trish live by the lake, where we learn that a fresh set of teenagers have hired out the house next door. Why do police not warn people about hiring cabins here? Like, people have been dying left, right and centre. Why would anyone even rent this place? I bet Jason is leaving unreal Airbnb reviews to lure people to Crystal Lake at this point. Well, we meet our newest cast of victims. We have Ted, Paul, Jim, Sarah, Sam and Doug, who for once all actually look like real teenagers, unlike 40-year-old Rick from part 3. On their way to the lake, they pass a random hippie hitchhiker, but don't pick her up, which pisses her right off. So she sits down to have a tasty banana to calm herself down, but Jason is having none of that. #dushed. That whole thing was so fucking random and out of nowhere. The teens pull up to the cabin and Tommy and Trish go over to introduce themselves. We also meet Tommy's good boy Woof Woof Gordon. Later on, Sam and Sarah have a chat about the sex, as Sarah is worried about having the sexy time with one of the lads. See this girl? She knows she's in a horror film, so no sexy time for her or she'll end up #dushed. Later that night, Tommy is trying to sleep when he sees one of the girls getting changed across the way, and he acts like any young lad would at the sight of some boobies. But this spotted pervert is put to an end when his mother walks in to check on him. Ah, poor Tommy boy. If only you had the internet back in the 80s. The next day, the teens go out for a walk, and we learn that poor old Jim here is down on his luck with women, so Ted keeps calling him a dead fuck, and tells him he needs to get a spot of riding. And owl Jimbo is in for some luck, as here come 2 hot twins out of fucking nowhere. Seriously, where the fuck did they come from? This lake sure seems to have a lot of people around it, even though there was 2 separate mass killings that week. Not exactly a prime tourist destination. Meanwhile, on their way home, Trish's car breaks down, so this 11-year-old gets out and tries to fix the fucking car. Some random lad shows up and helps them out. Seriously, why is there so many random backpackers in this area? Well, this lad is Rob, and Trish is in luck as he seems to be able to fix her car no bother at all. She offers him a lift into town, and we learn that he's not some random backpacker, but a hunter, and I can tell you now, he ain't out here hunting some feckin' bears. So, Tommy decides to bring this total stranger into his house to show him his movie monster masks. This kid has clearly never heard of stranger danger. Also, Tommy seems to have the advanced skills of a movie effects artist. This lad should be out there making movie films, not inviting weird lads up to his bedroom. But enough about Tommy and Rob, as the greatest moment in this film is about to happen, as Jim puts on some music and busts out the best dance moves ever put to cinema. What in the name of Christ is he at? What a fucking legend. Rob, meanwhile, is heading back out to the woods to hunt. Trish is flirting her arse off with him, but he's got other things on his mind, so he says good luck to her. One of the twins is getting way too close to Paul, so Sam says fuck you and heads off to go for a spot of late night skinny dipping and a relaxing lie on this random inflatable. But our boy Jason is having none of that. Hashtag dushed. Paul then decides to be a sound lad after all and says to one of the twins, nah, I don't want a spot of riding from you, so he heads off to find Sam. Meanwhile, back in the house, old Jimmy is getting himself some. It was clearly the dance moves from earlier that did it for her. Outside, Paul has managed to find Sam out in the boat, but instead of shouting over to her, he swims out there like a daft ass and gets spooked by her dead body. He swims back to the dock and gets one of the worst deaths ever. Oh, right in the bollocks! If he wasn't dead, he surely wishes he was. Rob is camping nearby and hears Paul's death scream, so naturally he goes to investigate. But while he's not looking, Jason breaks his gun. No idea how Jason got over there so quickly, but then his mother could teleport too. Back at the house, Ted finds an old film reel that they decide to watch, and one of the twins says, fuck this, I'm out of here, and ends up getting dusted by Jason's shadow. Trish's and Tommy's mother comes home and can't find anyone about the place at all, not even the woof woof. So she goes outside to investigate and gets scared by the camera. Trish and Tommy finally make it home, but now they can't find their mother anywhere, so Trish goes off to look for her. Oh fuck, is the camera going to spook her too? Well, instead she comes across Rob's tent and goes in to investigate, and then Rob just fucking slashes it open with a fucking machete like a madman.
What the hell are you doing here?
What are you trying to do? Kill me?
Back over at the house, Jim goes to get him some wine to celebrate getting the ride, but he can't find a corkscrew anywhere. But our boy Jason is here to help him out. Jason then somehow manages to scale the fucking house and throw this one right out the fucking window. And she slams right on top of a fucking car. Yet no one in the house can seem to hear this at all. Are they all feckin' deaf? Back at Rob's tent, we learn that Rob is actually out here hunting Jason because he killed his sister years ago, and he's going to kill Jason right back. Yeah, good luck with that, Rob. Having somehow not heard their friend being killed or a girl being thrown out a fucking window onto a car, Ted is just watching that weird film like a fucking dope. That is, until Jason has had enough of his shite. Hashtag dope. Upstairs, Sarah and Doug have had a spot of riding in the shower. Oh, Sarah, you stupid idiot. You shouldn't have done that. You were going to be safe. You are pure. She goes off to dry her hair, while Jason the pervert sneaks into the shower and murders the shite out of poor Dougie. But he knows it takes two to have a spot of riding, so he goes off and kills Sarah too after she finds Doug's body. That's what you get for bumping uglies. You shouldn't have done it. Trish and Rob make it back to the house, but they can't call the cops because backwoods Jason knows all about electrical systems and rips the phone line out. I mean, he did build that fancy shack we seen in part 2, so the man knows what he's at. Rob and Trish go next door to investigate, and Rob thinks the best place to look for Jason is in the feckin' basement. Why wouldn't you just wait for Jason to come up to you if you think he's downstairs? Meanwhile, Gordon the dog has had enough of this shite and decides to run up the stairs and jumps out the fucking window. What the fuck was that all about? And we never see him again in this film. What a hero. Anyway, Trish goes upstairs to try to find the doggy, but only comes across Doug's body, and that sends her running screaming down to Rob. And does Big Bad Rob get to have a cool fight scene with Jason? Nope, he just gets bum rushed and starts shouting while he's being murdered. Yeah, Rob, we heard you the first time. Would you fucking relax about it? Trish gets the fuck out of there the same way most people seem to exit this house, by going out the fucking window. So she rushes over to Tommy and tells him to lock the place tight. But we all know from the other films that Jason never uses doors. But fuck, he grabs poor Tommy boy. But don't worry, because Trish sticks him with a fucking hammer. They run upstairs and barricade themselves in Tommy's room, but Jason just bursts right in, and then he gets a fucking TV bushed on his head. Man, Trish is badass. But she doesn't do the correct thing and murder Jason while he's on the ground. So Jason grabs her and then gives chase after her, leaving Tommy alone. Also, isn't Jason not meant to run about the place? Look at that lad. He's trying to win this race between him and Trish. He chases her into the other house and upstairs, but he forgets that there is only one way someone can leave that house: by going out the fucking window. Woohoo! And Trish takes one hell of a bump. Like, come on, you'd be totally destroyed from that. Anyway, Tommy is busy cutting his hair, as you do during a situation like this. Trish makes it back inside, but feckin' Jason has followed her. She does try to fight him off, but he ends up overpowering her. And just when all hope looks lost, baldy fucking Tommy shows up. This actually does manage to distract Jason, because I think he's looking at Tommy like, are you making fun of the way I look, you fucking prick? But that distraction does give Trish time to sneak up with the machete and knock his mask off. Jesus, his face becomes more and more like a burst mattress each film. He goes for Trish again, but then Tommy gives him a machete to the fucking face, which he slides down on, making him finally #dushed. Or maybe not. So Tommy, being a crazy smart boy, stabs the fucking shite out of him. But fuck, we are fading to white here. Does this mean another fucking dream sequence? Oh, thank God, no. They actually managed to make a fucking proper ending, as we see Trish in the hospital with Tommy, and the movie film is dushed. Now, this is the film that I remember the most from my childhood, and I think it was the first Friday the 13th film I ever seen. So this does come with a lot of nostalgia for me. So let's jump into what I found good about this film. Like I said, this is the Friday film I remember the most from my childhood and teenage years. The look of Jason in this film and some of the kills have always stood out in my mind. And on a rewatch here, it really didn't disappoint. Jason is not fucking around in this film, and is just going around killing anyone he comes across. Like, he just kills that random girl with the banana for no reason. The filmmakers knew why we were watching these films and deliver on it. Jason is played by Ted White in this film, and he really makes him a force to be reckoned with. He's throwing people out windows and then back into windows, giving Jim a knife to the face and smashing in poor Dougie's face. All good stuff, and they were all done by the great Tom Savini, so you know we were going to get some incredible kills here. And just on Owl Jimmy and the other characters, they are a lot of fun in this, especially Crispin Glover as Jim. They all stand out in this one and have different personalities that allowed them to actually seem like a group of friends who have gotten together for a weekend, and not just a weird mix of people like say in part 3. The acting in this one is probably the best it's been in all of the 4 films so far. There isn't anyone in this that stands out as terrible, which is great. And for once, I can't think of the characters doing anything stupid in the film that leads to their deaths. Well, maybe Sam, who decides to just randomly go out to that inflatable. Corey Feldman is another standout here as well. Tommy Jarvis is such an interesting character to add into this series, as we haven't really had any kids in it up until this point, especially for a series all set around a damn summer camp for kids. He brings a playfulness to the role and gives the series its first recurring character. Well, besides Jason himself, that is. Now, this film isn't perfect, so let's move on to my negatives. First off, this thing is getting a knock for that damn recap at the start. I know it's not that big of a deal, but it really is annoying at this point. Like I've said before, these films are not that hard to understand. We don't need recaps. I know it's nitpicking with a film like this, but it is very silly that no one seems to know or react to all the killing that Jason has been doing over the last few days. I know you can say that they might have heard Jason has been killed, but it's just weird to me. Also, Rob has all these newspaper clippings of Jason's murders, so you'd think it'd be a well-known fact that there's a killer on the loose there. And he knows about the 2 deaths within the hospital, so you'd think all the fucking locals would know too. Also, speaking of Rob, he is built up to be this badass who's come down to hunt Jason and seems to be pretty smart about it. and is a pretty cool addition to this kind of film. But then he gets taken out so easily, and his death is unintentionally funny, with him just shouting his head off while he's being killed. It's also weird that Trish's and Tommy's mother kind of just disappears from the film. Like, we see her get scared by something and that's it. We are all just meant to think like, okay, so Jason killed her, but we never get any payoff for it. I did hear that there's a deleted scene that shows this, but it's odd it wasn't in the final film. Also, where the fuck did Gordon go to? And why did he jump out the damn window? I mean, it was epic and all, but it's just so random, and I honestly thought he'd come back and save Tommy and Trish like the good boy he is. It's just a missed opportunity in my eyes. But Friday the 13th, the final chapter, is probably one of my favorite Friday films, and while it isn't high-class cinema, it is a film that is just a ton of fun and well worth a watch if you want a slasher with interesting characters and great kills. So I give Friday the 13th, the final chapter, 4 out of 5 Horshes. So what do you think of Friday the 13th, the final chapter? Is this one of your favorite Fridays or one you could do without? Make sure to leave a comment down below and I'll see you next time when we horse into another movie film.